In this video we will be resizing our sprites and putting them in their starting positions. And we will also be adding scripts that will allow you to move your player using the arrow keys. Grab your sprites and place them in position. In this case I'm going to put all three of my goals, each one in its own corner, and the player in his own corner. Now they're pretty large right now, which means the game won't be very fun because there isn't much room to move. So to resize a sprite, you have two tools up here at the top. One called Grow, with the arrows pointing out, and the other called Shrink, with the arrows pointing in. It's like an on-off button. You click it to turn it on, and you see the little shrinking arrows, and now I can resize this just by clicking on it. Every time I click, it'll get smaller. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll do the same thing to this one over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and my start button and the you win, those guys are fine for the size they are, so I'm not going to change those, but I do want to position them so they appear near the center of the screen. Now let's move these guys up into the corners, and then I want to talk a little bit about how the computer sees where you place things on your screen. To do that, I'm going to switch over to Stage and go to this backdrop which I've added called X and Y Grid. Okay, when placing sprites on your stage, it's important to understand that the computer sees the stage as an XY grid, meaning that every single location on the stage can be identified by a pair of numbers, an X number and a Y number. The easiest one to identify is the very center of the screen, which is X0, Y0. Now the other coordinates are pretty easy to work with because Scratch is set up to help you do that. Let me show you here with the green hat. I click on the green hat and I go over to Scripts and I choose Motion. And you'll see I have the hat right here at the moment. If I pick that hat up and move it, the X and Y numbers in these blocks are going to change to match that location. So this hat is at X218, Y -138. That makes our script building nice and easy. So at the beginning of the game, I click the flag. Remember, this is our housekeeper. It puts everybody in place. So the flag says everybody get in your place. So I go to Motion and I want to grab a Go To block. It says, hey, go right there. That's where I want you to be. Okay, so that takes care of that one. So let's go to this one, put it into position, and create the same script. Okay, and picking it up and moving it, we'll set the coordinates. So we are at X -217 and Y 147. I can pull that block out, go back to Events, and get myself a green flag. That's my level 2 goal. Now let's do our level 1 goal. I'll get a green flag here, switch to Motion, put the goal in position. This is at X220, Y 146. Put that in place. I want my player to start down in this corner, so I set his position where I want it and build him the same script. When the flag is clicked, go to X -217, Y -139. Now, Start and You Win, I want to show up exactly in the center of the screen. They won't be on the screen at the same time, so it's okay if they appear on top of each other right now. I'm on the Start button, so let's go ahead and get a green flag. Where do I want it at the beginning of the game? I'm going to go to Motion here and pick Go To, but this time I'm going to click inside here and change these numbers to 0, 0, because remember 0, 0 is the center of the screen. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing with You Win, the flag, and a Motion script, Go To, and change these to 0 and 0. And now I'm ready to test it out. So the way I'm going to test it out here is I'm going to just pull all of my pieces all over the place here real quick. And I'm going to click the green flag. You should also see the backdrop change too. And everybody goes into place. With our sprites in their starting positions, now it's time to add some scripts to our player that will allow you to move the player with the arrow keys. So, very importantly, please make sure that you have clicked on player and that you see your player label up here at the top. The script belongs with the player. Now, we don't want the player to move until after the game has started. So we'll start with an event block when I receive. And the game starts when the message "go to level 1" is received. So we're going to set this to level 1. And now we're going to control our player starting with a forever loop, which means whatever's inside of this loop will happen for the entire length of the game. One of the things that we want to happen for the entire length of the game is a motion block. If on edge, bounce. We want our player to bounce off the edges of the screen, no matter which direction they're moving. Now, if the right arrow key is pressed, or the left arrow key, or the up arrow key, or the down arrow key, we each need a separate set of instructions for those. So we're going to add another control block called if-then. We'll put that right underneath if on edge and bounce. Now you want to make sure that you take care to put these blocks exactly as they're illustrated here, because if you move them around, accidentally get them in the wrong place, they may give different instructions to the computer and it may not work properly. But if you do need to change things, you see I can pull blocks down to pull them out, so sometimes you kind of have to pull things apart to fix them. Okay, now we're going to go to sensing here and get a key pressed block and put it right inside that. See how it turns bright there when you put the tip right on it? And we want to set this to become our right arrow. Now, to get the sprite to move to the right, we need to change its x coordinate. So I'm going to go to motion here and get a change x block. Every time we add to x, the sprite's going to move to the right. So change x by 4, that's a good comfortable number. Smaller the number, the smaller the step. The bigger the number, the larger the step for each tap of the arrow key. Now, for some reason this is on. I'm going to click stop here because that's distracting me. Now we're going to use duplicate here to speed up our work by pointing here somewhere on the if-then block and right-clicking duplicate and carefully put it underneath the right arrow script. We'll change this right arrow to become left arrow, and we'll make it the opposite of the right arrow. To make it move left, you subtract 4 from x each time you tap the left arrow key. Duplicate that if-then block, and this time we have to pull x out because x controls left and right movement, y controls up and down. So let's change y by 4 and set this to up arrow. And that will move our player up. Duplicate that, put it underneath, change this to down arrow, and do the opposite. To make it move down, we want to subtract 4 from y each time the arrow is pressed. Now, we don't have a go to level 1 message yet, but we can test out the code by clicking on this top block here to turn on this particular set of instructions. And with it glowing like that now, I should be able to use my arrow keys to move my knight up and down, left, right. Everything works great. Click flag and you should go back into position there. Alright, you're all set with a moving player and all your pieces are in position.